something important today, I think. You remember? You're muted.
Oh, yeah. Helps if I unmute that. We don't have this more North American base this morning for
Are we?
yeah, or this afternoon.
I saw a couple people join and then leave immediately as soon as you peeked around the corner there.
Yeah, that's the challenges we have. So
So today we're talking about, you had mentioned something last week, and I thought, yes, we definitely need to try that. And it's how to focus on specific areas in the Nist audit. So when it comes to security, what everybody needs to remember is that it's more than just pen tests and like crypto analysis or border security. That when we get into cybersecurity or when we get to risk analysis, there's a whole broad set of deliverables that you have to think about. So when I got my CISSP back in like 2011, there were something like 7 domains, 7 or 11, I can't remember, of cybersecurity. Everything from patent law on international disputes to crypto analysis. And most of what you learned in the CISSP was focused around network security, but you still need to know the other domains. And what you guys forget a lot of times is that some of these domains are extremely lucrative. So, for instance, governance. Governance is a stupid, easy thing that anybody can do. And it's all boilerplate templates, and you just have to have a reliable source of templates, and you can resell those things till the dawn of time. In fact, FormSwift is a company out there that makes a lot of money just off of reselling boilerplate templates. And it sounds dumb, but this is the way it works. A internet policy on acceptable use is something your clients want to do. It mitigates risk
yes,
for
yep.
them. And it sounds dumb, but they don't believe that they can make that on their own. Maybe they have an attorney who can build one up for them. That attorney is going to cost them $300 an hour. You can flip up a boilerplate that one attorney has made for you or that you have grabbed from a trustworthy source, and you can say, this is the one we use that we trust, and have them re-sign it, and you can charge them $300 for that. It's a very simple thing to do, but in risk analysis, you got to think about more than just firewall security. You need to be thinking that backups also belong in the risk domain. Backups are not an architecture thing, people. That a
Mhm.
backup is a risk mitigation strategy. Disaster recovery is a risk mitigation strategy. These all fall squarely within cybersecurity. And so the reason I wanted to pick this apart for you all is that each one of these are things that you can charge for as a product, but also take time. And that's why you get to charge for them. And in managed services platform, we have the Nist reporting tool, and you can decide to focus on a domain such as backup or governance or something like that in a very easy way. We've already built it. And so Skip had mentioned last week that he has a way to simplify and hide sections so that you can go up to a client and say, hey, let's audit your blah, and let's use the Nist standards to do it. So I was hoping that Skip could show us how to do that. How do you use the managed services platform to do a focused audit in risk so that you can have a specific deliverable?
Okay.
So just for quick, while Skip is setting up his screen share, the the thing to know is, like, for instance, if you do have a boilerplate template on governance, you can use this strategy that Skip's going to show you to focus on and sell your boilerplates. Like, hey, my governance package is going to be $1,000 a year. So once a year, I'm going to go through and I'm going to make sure that everybody signs their acceptable use policy for internet. I'm going to make sure everybody signs their your data usage reports, and you're going to make sure that an education set of material goes out once a year, and that becomes $1,000 a year thing. Your client is covered, and you're doing it times 25 clients. That's $25,000 a year you just made off of boilerplates. So Skip's going to show you the Nist cybersecurity audit and how to simplify it. So you're not selling all the backup stuff. You're not selling all of the crypto analysis or the authentication domain. You're just like focusing on one area. You can apply this to any area that your MSP wants to focus on. So take it
Okay.
away, Skip.
All right. Yeah, and I will say that this was kind of work product when I was working with one of our members. So I always encourage you guys to reach out to us if you've got some ideas or some challenges. We may not always have the answer, and I'm not gonna be so focused to think that managed service platform is always the right tool for the job. But when it is, we're certainly
I used
happy
to change
to.
my oil. I don't know what you're talking about.
You guys know I've always told you, sometimes a big chief tablet and a number two pencil. If that's what it takes to get the job done, I really don't care. I'm really focused about let's getting the job done. I think managed service platform is a great tool to do that. So in that vein, let's take a look at this. So we talked a little bit about Nist last week. And
You're
not
still
hurting.
using the overview report. You're not using the in-depth one.
Correct. And we are using, and that is to clarify this. So if you're, and I'm looking, I think, well, not everybody. If you're a legacy HIT or the old VEP membership, you have access to our 1.0 templates as well. And this overview is necessarily an evolution of the 1.0. The 1.0 went really deep, though. It really tried to assess all the maturity levels within the Nist framework, and that's a bit of a challenge. So 1.0, while very thorough, it was a lot of work. 2.0, we've taken the maturity aspect out of it, remember, and now we're just looking at the controls within Nist to understand where our clients are on that. So just really brief, I know we covered this mostly last week, but you'd go through here and say, external information systems are cataloged. All right, we're not looking for a maturity level on whether or not they're doing that. We're just saying, hey, do we feel this client has a handle on this or not? Is the client comfortable with their position in this or not? And so this really does help speed things up with regards to getting the Nist done. And again, it goes much, much more towards driving the conversation rather than doing a really detailed technical assessment. Sometimes it's easy enough to do the technical work. Our engineers are really smart. We can create a ticket and we end up with a great set of data. But then the question becomes, all right, now what do we do with this? How can I talk to the conversation? How can I talk to the client about this? How do I structure this conversation? What's the deliverable? That really gets to be the harder part. And this is where the tool really helps out. So on today's topic on this, focusing on this, if we look at the Nist elements here and all the pillars, they've broken it down. Obviously, we've got their got notes. We got their 5 areas. Okay, identify, protect, detect, respond, and recover. All right, that is 5, right? Okay. And within each of these, there are a variety of topics. All right, asset management on this case, business environment. All right, and each one goes through governance, procedures, and policies. All right. Oh, we hid that one. Let's fill some of this out. All right. So now in doing this, we have a thorough Nist assessment. However, there is a way to focus this a little bit more. All right. So I've got another example here. The same report, we're still looking at the overview. I've played around with the versioning, the PNP. And what I've chosen to do in this one is focus on just on policies and procedures. All right. Just policies and procedures. So I'm still looking at all 5 elements of the Nist framework, but I've gone through and hidden the elements that don't deal with policies or procedures. Now, when we take this out, if we look at our scoring here, we're at 42 of 100. All right. If we flip this back over, we're going to see our scores change, 28 out of 67. All right. And what that does is functionally, and within the tool, this little bit here, flipping this back and forth, will take out or add back in these statements so that they affect our overall score. So by removing this, all right, now I've taken asset management out of the equation here, because we're not looking at asset management. We're looking at policies and procedures. And so we've gone through, and now we're only leaving the ones that we're really interested in. Policies and procedures here. We've got another one. So this is all within our identify pillar. We've got risk management here. Now we're moving on to the protect pillar. All right. We've got awareness training. And that kind of falls under procedures. Information protection. Again, all of these are still under the 5 Nist pillars, but it's only policies and procedures. So what it allows you to do is, again, to put together a comprehensive report that says, hey, based on the 5 Nist areas and just focusing on your policies and procedures, this is how you rank out. You, as Adam mentioned, you don't have to talk about how their backups are being done. All right. Now, there's probably some stuff in there about how they're communicating about those or who's supervising those backups. But, you know, the versions of software, the platforms they're on, the discussion about if the backups are meeting the specific needs. All right, none of that applies. We're strictly looking at policies and procedures. So again, as I mentioned earlier, this was kind of product work from a member conversations, and the target client on this was a local community. And for any of you worked in, or have government clients, we know that policies and procedures are paramount in your local governments. I mean, probably more than what actually happens. If the policy and procedures followed, well, then they're all happy. So this was a great tool to sit down and go over this. And then we really are able to do what I love to do, and that's focus on the gaps. All right. So we're able to do this assessment, understand where they're at, and really target this one and say, hey, look, on the detection side, you guys are probably looking okay. We may need to do a few other things. We probably ought to have some conversations about these 2 pillars, but respond and recover, you guys are really bad. I mean, we've got to do something about this now. And in presenting the graphs this way, the conversation is really going to go, hey, you need to do something right now. This is important. You need to fix this. You need to address this. And so putting this in front of, again, a government sort of organization, they're going to be scrambling to find money in their budget. Or if you're following along with Adam and I, they're going to be allocating money as soon as they can in their coming budget so that they can deal with the respond and recover just in regards to their policies.
Yeah. And also, I'm looking at the people that are on this call today, and you see this, like, you don't know anything about this company, Joe's Trucks, for instance, and you look at this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the scores here. I know in your heads, each one of you are engineers or have been engineers at some point in your career. And you're thinking,
Yep.
You could solve that recovery thing with some simple things. You already in your mind know exactly what products they're probably missing. You've met this client before. The response thing, that's an easy thing. Hey, you know what? They probably need to move up to 24/7, and we need to make sure that we have a security team that can respond to this. Or, like, you're looking at this and like, they've got a good firewall in place with maybe an IPS, and it's probably detecting things with their antivirus, but they have no ability to recover from this. And so in your mind, you're like, oh, this is easy. I just got to sell them a backup solution. You're right. You already know how to do that. But now the client knows. They see the gap.
Well, and so this is,
you didn't have to teach your engineers how to be security engineers. You just look at this and go, my God, they need a backup solution.
Yep. And this is where it gets really, really simple. So we've got, a recovery planning. Okay. So they need to sit down. They need a plan. All right. This is actually, it sounds kind of complicated. This is actually a really easy one. You sit down, you create a document. It plans out what they're going to do. You look and see what their current infrastructure is. Again, we'll kind of just go a little bit deeper into this being a local government. They're going to have some sort of IT team. You ask whoever their IT manager is, you say, who's responsible for your backups? He gives you a name. Great. You put it on the line item there. I mean, it's really, some of this is really that simple. So anyway, you go through here, and as we identify these things, we say, hey, you need to do this. We need some improvements here. Communications. We'll just do 3 of them here. All right. So now we've got a quick roadmap built. All right. We have these items here, right? And we can start talking about pricing and timing.
I'm gonna interject one more time, Skip here. When you see this recovery planning and improvements, if you have a hard time selling those, if you've never done a post-mortem on an event with a client, this is the time to record some of that post-mortem items. So boom happens, you're in post boom from a cyber event or a data loss scenario. Maybe somebody just forgot to save their Excel file, whatever it is. During Nist recovery options, you say recovery planning. Do you have a plan? Yes or no? And type it in there if there is not a plan. Improvements. Last time we lost data or somebody lost data, we were unable to recover it for them for 2 hours. Put that note in there. Use those actual events. Don't do theoretical, do your actuals. And those usually happen during post-mortems or post-boom. And you have these. This is where you say, hey, we'll solve those problems. Hey, remember the last 6 times this happened? Here, we've documented it inside of our recovery events. And we would like to improve things. And it'll only cost you like X dollars. So how do you get the Rebel Alliance icons? I don't know. Violate copyright or trademark.
Yeah, I guess I had to replace the unicorns that were there earlier because the unicorns were driving me crazy.
I don't think I put the unicorns there. I don't know who put those there.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so I had to get rid of the unicorns, and I elected Rebel Alliance.
So anyways, that's something. That is just a little tip I'm going to give everybody when it comes to like recovery planning here and being able to pitch these projects. So if you click on the project, you can type in there, here is an event that occurred. So you go down to your deliverable.
Yep.
And then you can edit in there and say, on June 2nd, we were unable to recover a file because you didn't have any offsite backups, or because you were not using our lays and grace backups, or because you didn't follow this procedure, and have the solution right here. So next time you guys go in and talk about recovery situations, like, hey, Al, remember when we were unable to restore your file for you? That's because you didn't have this. Are you ready to put it in the budget for next year? And now you've solved a real world problem for them.
That's it. Well, this is really, I think, an easy process. We talked about the FUD last week, didn't we? And I keep finding myself using the FUD, all right, which I said I wasn't going to do, the fear, uncertainty, and doubt, all right? But this is a great way to say, look, this is the expectations of where your organization needs to be, and this is where you are. And, you don't have to necessarily push it. I mean, this big gap just begs to be answered with your clients. What are you going to do about this? And so again, create these projects, put them on here. What we have out here is great starting spots, but don't feel like you have to write out some sort of 20-page manual for each of these projects. You can put your deliverables in just as bullet points. All right. For many times, that's going to work very, very well on this. But let me wrap this up with one really important element. Okay. So and we do this on all of ours, but this is a really easy one to show you on. We want to make a thorough assessment. Okay. So in this case, we're just assessing their policies and procedures. So looking at recovery, they're not very good. We did a thorough assessment. All right. And then we made some recommendations. All right. We put those on the roadmap. We talk to the client. We get this done. All right. They're like, oh yeah, this is a priority. We've got to get this done right away. They spend the money, and now we're done. All right. We've completed these projects. All right. So now we've finished this. Now we want to close the loop here. Really important. There's a three-step loop in this. We want assess, we want to recommend, and then we want a roadmap. All right. But at the end of the roadmap, we have to come back. All right. Now we look at this. We reevaluate this statement here. All right. The recovery plan is executed during or after an event. We might not be able to say this until they've had an event. All right. But maybe it was a minor event, maybe whatever it is. We're able to say, yep, you know what? They're good here on that. And on these two, the improvements, yep, we fixed that. We updated their strategies. And you know what? We fixed this one too. All right. So now we've gone through and closed the loop from assess to recommend a roadmap.
And
And
do this in the meeting with your client, people.
yes, do it with the
They
clients.
have to say, yes, that is good. I feel confident about that. And then they get to see the bar go up.
They
You
see
want
the move.
them to see the animation of the bar going up because it's a dopamine burst that gets that. I know it's stupid and it's gimmicky, but it works. When they see the bar go up because of some money they spent with you, they're going to want to have that feeling again.
Yep. So here, let's even change it up a little bit. And so we can say, look, we're almost there. All right. We came up from 11 to 56. We're not quite there on the recovery because we haven't had an incident that we need to follow up on yet or something. I don't know. I'm kind of stretching for examples off the cuff here, but anyway, there's an opportunity to show this progress as you move through it. Maybe this turns out to be, a bit of a multi-engagement sort of deal where you work through some stuff. And in phase one, you go through the respond stuff. In phase two, you go through the recover. I don't know, but you have a great opportunity to assess, recommend, put it on the roadmap. As the roadmap does the work, when you come back, then your scores change. You're able to demonstrate, hey, this is what we were doing for you guys. You have a great snapshot here, and they get to see where they're at, where they need to be, and you need to work in the gap that you're working on. So very important step there. I know we were talking about whittling this down, but while I'm here, I want to make sure we close the loop on assess, recommend, and roadmap. And then once the roadmap's completed, come back so you can get to that.
This being the risk quarter in QBRs, highly recommend you focus on risk this quarter. For those of you who maybe don't have something or a governance set of policies in place, or maybe you don't have like one of these in place, just collapse them. Remove them out and focus on what you can deliver so that your client is not overwhelmed. And when they see that, they're going to appreciate it. They're going to buy more. And then next year, maybe add on something like, hey, you know what? Maybe we should start selling our clients governance policies this year. Maybe we should go out to find from Infotech or one of these great resources that do policy generation and get them ready to go. And so that we can push this out to our clients, spend an extra couple $100 so that they have all their governance in place and we get them that. And so you then unhide that section and everybody wins. So focus on what you do well and hide the sections that you're not ready to deliver, and your clients will appreciate it. You will sell more, you'll deliver a lot, and you can export them to a project proposal right off of there. And everybody's like, oh yeah, we're good. Now it's scheduled out. Now next year, you just watch as these things go up every meeting.
And so the now, and to kind of give you a bigger picture on using the tool, we highlighted policies and procedures across all of the 5 Nist elements. Okay, and in the tool, those 5 elements are categories in our list. That's listing. Whoa, I was in the wrong spot here. So just so you're up to speed on your MSPL naming conventions here. So these are categories, all right? And then the areas underneath that, these are the subcategories, all right? But in this case, like I said, we looked at policies and procedures across all of the categories. But if you want to apply this process to other reports, say an architecture type report, and you want to focus on just perhaps data storage, all right? And you don't want to look at end user resources or internet management, okay? You have the ability, remember, to go in and you can flip entire categories off, all right? So in this case, now, all right, we're changing our list up. All right, we're only looking at this minimum set of activities. And so it gives us the opportunity to, again, maybe I'll get there in a minute, catch up. All right, nope. There we go. We get this opportunity
slow computer.
There we go, to focus on just the elements that we're at. And then last thing I want to say here is, because I brought it to this report, remember this progress over time and this moving these bars is another important element. If you're being disciplined and taking those snapshots when you're supposed to take them, which when is right at the end of a client engagement, right? That at the very end, that's when you take a snapshot, because everything else you do from that point forward is going to be future work, right? Stuff that goes into the next engagement. But if you do that, then you can begin tracking your engagements over time. And so now your clients can see what you're doing for them, again, a little bit longer perspective. All right. So just a couple of tools on that. Trim that down to make policies and procedures a deliverable in Nist. It can work for some other stuff. So you want to focus on just the reactionary stuff. Do they have the tools in place? All right. Go through, read these assessments, decide what falls in that category, flip the bits back and forth, and now you've got a customized, a focused Nist on one topic. But you're still, the important part is we're still covering all 5 pillars of the Nist framework. So we can still identify this as a Nist compliant assessment focused on, specific area XYZ.
Yep. And so again, this is all coming down. If you guys want to know more about this, I'm happy to have one-on-one conversations with people about game theory and how to push items so that your clients evolve. You have a lot of offerings. If you throw all your offerings at once, it's great if you have a all-encompassing solution. But if you're hitting some of your smaller clients, they're going to want to take it more piecemeal. Like, okay, what can I do this year? Well, trim it down. Have like a phase 1 report, have a phase 2 report, have a phase 3 report, make it easy and digestible. And that's what Skip's trying to get at here, is that what are you ready to deliver? What is your client ready to hear? And it could be that they just got out of a big, maybe they went through a big pandemic and they don't know how to do disaster recovery and that they were unable to work from home. That might be the thing that you need to focus on. Or it could be they just had a big malware attack. They didn't have any backups. Maybe you need to focus on that. You can customize these just fine, and you will sell more solutions. And you can also focus on solutions that you have ready to go. Maybe you have a new software that you're really excited to push out to all your clients. This is how you do it. Trim down the report, focus on it, and then deliver it in a client engagement session. With that, I'm going to let everybody go. Great session today. I think